Yo, we're doing a Marvel Rivals video today. Oh, sorry about that. Last night I was getting on it, and then the night before I was getting on it. I've drunk a lot this weekend, guys. I feel so bloated. But let's talk Marvel Rivals. So it was an interview on a website. Can't remember the website's name. So I'll just post the link in the description. But basically, we'll start off with this. Did you think about possibly doing an alternate version of the characters, like Iron Man in a different role? So what that means is, like, you know, instead of attack, he's a tank or something like that. Thad Sasser, love that name, said, I don't think we've really kind of thought about that. I think the way we think about it is, as Danny said, the first and most important thing is really the character, right? Representing the iconic nature of that character, finding those three things that are true to it, and then the class of the role kind of comes later. You might see, and I'm not saying that there is or isn't, but you might see a character completely shift their power set based on events that happened in the narrative that we tell as the game evolves. Now, that's why I wanted to show that bit, because that opens up all sorts of worms. Do you know what I mean? That can of worms. Maybe this character had a change in their circumstances, things have changed for them, and now they're a different type of play experience. That would be the kind of thing we'd love to experiment with and get player feedback on. So we'd love to hear more ideas like that. I'm curious how that would work, in the sense of, like, would do they mean, like, I don't know, Peter would become Miles for a little bit or something weird like that? You know, do you get what I mean? Like, I don't know how that would really operate, but a lot of online games tend to feature a primal powered up version of a particular character. Would Marvel Rivals experiment with stuff like Ultimate Spider-Man? Danny said, I know there are a bunch of opinions among friends that this Spider-Man or that Spider-Man is the best. There are so many opportunities for us to do stuff like a different costume or maybe introduce a different voice line. We haven't announced all this detail in terms of costume and variants yet. We want each main playable character to have a different play style, which I think they do quite well, to be fair. I mean, you know, they're all Overwatch clones, but do you consider the costume to be more like a seasonal reward or something that players can unlock as an additional skin? Danny says, we haven't announced the monetization mechanism or anything yet, but I could tell you that during the alpha, players do quests to get currency to unlock skins and costumes. We have those in the alpha, and we look forward to that in beta as well. Cool. How can players customize the identity of the characters in Marvel Rivals? Some games have emotes, voice lines, or sprays that players can customize. What sort of options are there in this game? Thad Sasser said, yes, we know that's important to players, and we'll have some options. We're not going to talk about the details yet, but in the alpha we did have the spray. Danny says, pretty standard in alpha, but we do have a few surprises in store for later, which I'm assuming is either the beta or its launch. How are you going to support Marvel Rivals at the esports level? Now, this is quite interesting. Daddy said, we want to make this game first and foremost the best-in-class PvP. We're not even thinking about esports. Once we establish a strong foundation for the community, I think this will grow organically instead of forcibly. I much prefer that. I hate it when a game hasn't even come out yet and they're like, right, let's get them esports, let's get those esports dollars in, let's get those sweaty nerds on the phone. I feel like building a community for this is a lot better, kind of similar to Smash Brothers. Okay, how about cross progression? Are you implementing a NetEase profile so that if someone unlocks something on a PC and carry it to PlayStation? Thad Sasser says, to be decided. As you can imagine, that's extremely complicated to pull off, so we're looking into it. We've heard that the audience has already suggested this several times, so we're looking into it. It's a free-to-play game, so I would like to imagine that cross progression is kind of like a given. But who knows, man, who knows. As far as the breadth of content you guys can pull from, is there anything that's off limits for Marvel Rivals? Anything is possible. We have over 9,000 characters in Marvel, 85 years of Marvel history. But then we put a character in there, it has to be with a reason, not just because. Any character has to relate to the lore and the story as well as the other characters on the existing roster. This is a Marvel Universe game, and we want to have a roster of characters from the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the X-Men. We don't want it to just be an Avengers or an X-Men game, we want to have everybody in it, which, given some of the leaked characters, that pretty much seems to be the three that they're going for. Do you know what I mean? X-Men, Avengers, Guardians, and a little bit of the Fantastic Four, but shh, I didn't say anything. Is there any sort of playable narrative mode, or is it mostly competing in matches against each other? I'm curious about this myself. We're focusing on PvP, but within the map, within the voice dialogues, within the bios they can unlock, it's very detailed on what the story is, and the players can piece it together. Like, for example, in the map that you played, Odin's Palace, there's one starting point where you can see a family portrait. which, you know, fair enough, man. I mean, I did want a bit of a story mode for this game, but also how would you do that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you just be playing as bots and then you get a cutscene, like, that doesn't really work. I know you guys have another closed test coming up. How is your test schedule shaping up for the inevitable launch? It depends on the result of the closed beta. We might not do another beta if it's great, right? Don't really like that. Don't agree with that unless the launch is pretty soon. Otherwise, we might do another round of beta, so we don't know yet. Right now, we're focusing on beta, but we got a lot of feedback from the alpha. People said, why don't you launch it right now? It's already done. We were like, no, it's not done. The job's not finished. That was an ongoing discussion on our Discord. By the way, if you're not on our whatever, you know, because they're plugging in Discord like crazy for some reason. What's on the table for post-launch content for Marvel Rivals, whether it's characters, maps, or modes? What are you guys looking at? Yes. The answer is yes. What does the audience want? What needs are not being met? And what do they want to see more of? What's working really well? We'll have to check out all those things. So there you go. Pretty good interview. Load of deets. Very nice.